Anthony Richardson Sr. Have yourself a fucking game last night, yesterday in the afternoon in MetLife versus the other AR, and we're here to talk about it on Colts Unplugged Pod, episode 6. I'm one of your co-hosts, Ati Oberoy. Joined with me is my other co-host, pro fan Logan. And Logan, I know you were watching the game
Yo,
with your friends. I'm sure you were as ecstatic as I was. What a way to come out after being benched for 2 weeks and have that goddamn performance. Anthony Richardson, my young prince, our QB1, our franchise QB. Logan, how did you feel, baby?
I mean, you nailed it on the head. Our young prince. That's all. That's all I could say during the whole game in the group chat. Our young prince has
Our
finally
young
arrived,
prince.
and it felt really good to. I know when I was watching with my friends, obviously all Colts fans, so it felt really good just to see the potential of a future, right? I think more than anything, it's like, yeah, the win was nice. It was close, right, against a pretty piss poor Jets team, I would say. So there's still a long way to go
On the offensive
to
side,
temper a
though,
little bit of
the
expectation.
defense is still pretty
Correct.
good.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Correct. Yes. Especially in the first half. But no,
Yeah.
just yeah, on that end of things, Taylor and expectations. But for Anthony Richardson's performance, I don't think there really could have been a better way to come back for him and to show to Colts Nation, to show to himself, to show to the coaching staff that, hey, I still am the guy. There's a reason that you took me with the number 4 overall pick last year. I'm not going away. My confidence is not shot. So it was super, super cool to see that, and really just like a full circle moment. So I was ecstatic as well. And hey, we're back fully on the AR train. We got 6 games left to go. Let's just let them ball, as we were talking about in the chat. There's a few boneheaded, questionable throws in there, but guess what? Andrew Luck used to do the same thing, my guy. He used to throw boneheaded picks, and then a couple drives later, he'd lead them to a game-winning drive, and that's exactly what AR did. So,
Hey,
and he didn't
Josh
even throw the
Allen-esque.
picks. So,
Josh Allen-esque. I would like to say I never hopped off
yeah.
the Anthony Richardson train. Okay, I was here. I
No,
was right here.
I meant like Colts. I meant like Colts Nation is fully like full steam
Oh,
ahead on the AR train. More, yeah, more on a hypothetical sense, but
and we still see though a lot of haters like after the game they were just like it was one game, it was against a bad Jets team. But yeah, like the Jets offense was really struggling in the first half, but this Jets defense is pretty damn good. Like they're top 7 statistically. They're like the number
Mhm.
2 or 3 pass defense in the league. I mean, did you see what they held like Brock Purdy to? What they held Sam Darnold? I think they played Sam Darnold. What they held Sam Darnold to? What they held CJ Stroud to? Had one of his worst games against the Jets. And then for Anthony Richardson to come out, and I have the stats pulled up, 66.7% completion percentage. Are you kidding me, baby? I think that's his highest completion percentage he's
Yeah.
had when he's finished a game. 272 passing yards, 32 rushing
Yep.
yards, 3 total touchdowns. And I felt like, he, like you said, he had some missed throws there. I'm sure he wants to have that pass to Mo Alley Cox back, the one to Kylan Granson in the flat in the beginning of the game. But man, he made up for those. He made up for those, and he made up for them in a good way. But I'm so proud. I'm so happy that just the way he came out and performed after the last 2 weeks, after all of national media saying what they had to say. It takes a lot of guts and maturity for a 22-year-old guy to come out, have that performance against a good Jets defense. I'm just proud, man. I'm proud to have him as our QB1. I'm proud to see the growth. I hope this growth stays consistent. We have a tough task coming up. We'll talk about on Thursday against the Lions, but right
Yep.
now, I'm still enjoying Victory Monday. As of right now, it's still 5:19 p.m. So I'm
Yes.
thriving.
As as we should, because as we know, in the NFL, if you're not the Kansas City Chiefs or you're not the Detroit Lions right now, victories are pretty hard to come by, right? I mean,
Yep.
it just is. And so I think we should definitely be very thankful for the W, whether it's by 1 point or whether it's a blowout win. A win's a win, and it feels good to be back in the win column after losing, what was it, 3 straight,
3 in a row.
4 straight? Yeah, 3 in a row, I
3 in a
believe.
row. A
So,
much needed win too, man. Imagine losing 4 in a row. Your playoff hopes are basically you gotta win out. And with the Lions coming into town next week, tough to do, especially when you play the Broncos too right after that. Another winning team there. Um, I
yep.
want to pivot though, Logan. I know we were texting a little bit about this yesterday. Shane Steichen. I don't know about you. I think we'll get to your opinions. I think, and I know we were texting back and forth, but hell of a game. I think when it comes to play calling, I think he really dialed it up. Had those easy routes, easy
Mhm.
reads for Anthony Richardson. Used his legs. Like it felt like that Jalen Hurts type of offense, where they came out in the first half, and it felt like Anthony Richardson ran the ball himself, just QB design runs, not scramble runs, 6 or 7 times. And it's fine. He gets hurt.
Mhm.
It's whatever. He's that caliber of quarterback, but you can't draft a guy that high and not use him for his rushing upside. So I'm really happy that Shane Steichen dialed up some of those runs early,
Agreed.
eased him back into the game after not playing, and I think really just dialed up a game that reminded me of last year, essentially how he played for the first 4 games
Mhm.
with Anthony Richardson last year, and it was cool to see. I guess what were your thoughts on Steichen's play calling?
Yeah, I think overall, as far as the play calling designed for AR, I did love it a lot. I agree with you. I think it did remind me of that. It reminded me of the Jalen Hurts offense, where he had in Philadelphia as an offensive coordinator over there. It reminded me a little bit of how the Bills use Josh Allen and how
Oh yeah,
the Bills used Josh Allen against the Chiefs as well. I'm sure you probably saw in the Chiefs game in Bills game yesterday, Josh Allen had that, basically game sealing touchdown run for them, right? And
and to think
so
we have that in
I
our quarterback. Oh my god,
exactly,
that's so
yeah, and
exciting.
so I was very thankful to see that from Steichen. Yes, every time he ran, I mean, obviously both touchdowns for AR, both rushing touchdowns were those designed quarterback runs, right? Those weren't scrambles out of the pocket, right, from a blown potential pass down the field. It was a design run. He was supposed to run it the whole time. So
Yeah,
yeah, I liked that a lot. As far as I loved the routes too that he was calling, like some of the mesh routes where
he loves
like
the mesh concepts. I
downs would
love that.
sort of like mesh across the field, like really deep route mesh across the field there. Downs got open on that quite a few times. You even saw Ad Mitchell get open on a mesh route too, down the left side of
Oh,
the
why
field
did he
there
cut
too,
back
and
in?
almost
If he
scored.
stayed out, that's a
I
tutty.
know he kept bobbing and weaving like this.
I
I was like, what's he
know.
doing?
That's his thing
Um,
though. Yards after catch. He needs to figure that shit out. But I love 80, man. I love him.
Yes, yeah, he's starting to rack some good games together, so I appreciate that about him too. But yeah, no, overall, I think a good game. I think the one qualm, and again, it's in a W, so it's you know sort of a moot point. But I think the one qualm that I did have was I did like that Steichen did not give up on the run, because Steichen did run it 24 times with JT, got 24 touches, but he had 57 yards. Okay, so what that tells you is the type of runs maybe necessarily were not as effective, right? My thing is with Jonathan Taylor, I know with how he uses Jonathan Taylor, I know he's a big proponent of like the RPO, the shotgun runs, things of that nature. My thing is when he's calling them, and we talked about this on a previous episode before. A lot of times, Shane Steichen, and I'm not sure what he's seeing, but on second and long, a lot of times, so it's like second and 10, or maybe even after a penalty, like second and 15, whatever the case might be, second and 10 or more. A lot of times he's running these inside zone draw plays, basically, where it's not really an RPO. It was designed to be an inside zone run the whole time. You can tell like Richardson will take the snap and just kind of hand it to JT. And I counted quite a few times, like 6 or 7 times in that situation where it was second and 10, where he opted to run an inside zone with Jonathan Taylor. You and I talked about all the time how the most effective runs of Jonathan Taylor's career a lot of times come from those plays where they pull Quentin Nelson or they pull a
The
guard
outside runs.
and sort of pull him out to the outside and let him run an outside zone. So Jonathan Taylor's a great running back, but I mean on second and 10 to repeatedly run inside zone runs, it's tough, I mean, it's not a super highly effective play. It's usually only going to go for like 3 or 4 yards, and then you're still putting Anthony Richardson in a third and 6, third and 7, which isn't a great position to be in, or a third and
Yeah.
9 or a third and 8. So
I almost
That
feel
was my
like,
only qualm, I would say, is he sort of tends to do that sometimes.
yeah, and I hear what you're saying. I remember you were texting me that during the game. I almost feel like, Steichen realizes, hey, I have a, second year quarterback who didn't play all of last year, coming off of not playing for 2 games.
Right. Yeah.
Let's make third down a little bit more manageable instead of, third and 10. Let's say they throw the ball on second down, it's an incompletion. You
Incomplete.
know,
Yeah.
third and 10, third and 11 is lot harder than a third and 6, third and 7. A lot more you can do in terms of play calls on third and 6 and third and 7. So I think that was the aspect.
Yeah.
Um, Two big reasons why I feel like the run game kind of stalled. One, I think we saw JT get his ankle taped. Obviously, he still played the remainder of the game. He had I think like season high or like second highest in his career snap percentage this game. So I don't know how much of an effect that
Yeah.
really was. But when I saw him getting his ankle taped, I was like, shit, here we go again. But, he finished the game. But secondly, offensive line. I went to go look at like the PFF, like offensive line
Yeah.
rankings. That was bad.
Yeah.
Like Dalton Tucker,
They were
bad.
getting. Yeah. Oh man, I was gonna say I actually wanted to talk briefly about that. The Dalton Tucker. Yeah, there were so many times. It's very rare on film when you're watching a game. Not even the all 22. Like when you're watching the original broadcast, and you can pinpoint the guy on the line that's getting blown up every single time.
Oh my
Like
god.
4, 5, 6, 7 plays in a row. I swear there was a run there in like the second quarter. You probably remember what I'm talking about, where Tucker got blown up at
Oh my
least 4 or 5
god.
times. Like I was like, what is going on?
Right before the
He
line of
was
scrimmage.
letting everybody and their mother through. Yeah, whether it was a drop back, whether it was a run, where it didn't matter.
Dude, yeah.
Whether it was a screenplay. Man, dude.
I
So
know he's
yeah,
not
I
a
agree with you
tackle, but it
there that
reminds me
the
of Matt
offensive line
Pryor
wasn't great.
a little bit. But
Hmm.
Matt Pryor
No,
days.
it had to have been one of the worst. I mean, singular offensive lineman performances from the Colts, at least that I've seen this year.
I
It was not great.
I
He
don't remember
doesn't want to
whether
put
it
that one on
was
tape. He doesn't want
oh,
to.
100% not. I don't remember if it was rushing or passing, but he had like a 16 PFF grade, either on rushing or pass blocking. I don't remember
Oh,
which one it was, but brutal. That's a brutal look. So that's why I like, and Tanner
I
Bortolini, like
understand it though. Yeah,
I understand it. Tanner Bortolini, he had a decent couple of starts. He still struggled, I think, a little bit against the Jets. Jets pass rush there.
hmm
But what I'm thinking is Ryan Kelly's obviously going to come back. I think they're going to start him, even though I still want Tanner to start for the rest of the season. What if you take Tanner and you move him at right guard and you don't play Dalton Tucker at all
yeah.
whatsoever? Or you take
Oh
Bernard
man,
Raymond's coming back, hopefully next game against the Lions, much needed. And then you take what was I going to say? You take what's his name again? Matt Gun something
Gun
Gunclaus.
Calvez. Yeah, yeah,
Goncalves. You
Gun
take him
Calvez.
and
Yeah,
you move him at right guard because I don't think Dalton Tucker is the answer at least this year as a rookie. He might just need time to
no,
develop. We'd really miss
yeah.
Will Fries.
I mean, he
But
was
yeah,
an undrafted. He was an undrafted uh, free agent, right? This year, rookie free agent. So I mean, it's not like he had a ton of, I guess, upside potential. He was probably more of a depth guy, anyways. And yeah, yesterday I think he showed why he should not be anywhere near the starting lineup for the Colts offensive line.
yeah. I fear they'll still
Not at
start
all.
him, but but I don't know if it's the right
Mhm.
decision too when there's a couple
No,
of other options you can take.
with the injury, you know what I'm saying. Like if everyone's healthy, he should definitely not be
Oh no,
one of your starters. I'd say,
no,
yeah,
100% not,
yeah,
100% not. Um, And this defense too balled out. Let's switch to the defensive side of the ball because first half minus the last drive in the set in the first half, defense balled out, bro. You hear the Jets cheer when they got like their first down in like the 2 minute warning or something
yeah,
like that. The entire Jets
yeah.
organization like yelled. All the fans were like, "Woo! First down, baby! First win of the game!" And it was so funny just hearing that on TV and through the broadcast. But defense balled out.
Did you see Jalen Jones? Jalen Jones had the highest PFF grading for any Colt this week, including over Anthony Richardson, a couple of the other guys. Like,
Yep.
yeah, dude, Jalen Jones, I wanted to give a huge shout out to because I remember earlier in the season, even we had talked about it in our chat. Just he was struggling, right? I mean, he really, really was. He was struggling pretty bad, getting burnt quite a bit in those first like 3 or 4 games, and he has really emerged as one of the strong suits, I would say, of this Colts defense.
Lockdown
He has
corners.
emerged as a key player that we need moving forward. He has stepped up. Obviously, you've had Womack that stepped up. Kenny Moore is always going to do his thing, and hold it down there in the slot position. So it's crazy how much this Colts secondary has stepped up, because that was an area, man, where they were getting torched in the first 4 games of the season, and they've really stepped it up, man. They've really locked in, and I'm very impressed. I would say like, as far as me looking at all the units on this Colts team, the unit that has improved the most drastically has definitely been the Colts secondary, especially
Yeah.
in the last like 5 or 6 games. Like, that secondary has been phenomenal.
I
So
genuinely think like
shouts
Jalen
out to them.
Jones steal first and foremost in the 7th round, turning into one of the true better
Yeah.
lockdown corners, not only on the Colts, like in the NFL. And I know non-Colts watchers probably don't know who Jalen Jones is, but absolute dog. If you have the
Right.
opportunity, it just immense amount of pass breakups yesterday. I think he held like Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson to a combined like 30 yards and like 4 catches or
Mm-hmm.
something when he was on him
Exactly.
yesterday. So I mean, he was balling out. But part of it
Mm-hmm.
too is you finally get pressure on the quarterback. It gives your secondary a little bit of help. And when D Buck was out for a couple of games, there was
Yeah.
like no pressure. We went 2 games in a row with 0 sacks, and then Quiddy Pay. Can I get a round of applause? Quiddy Pay, you stepped up. Latu, you stepped up. Grove
Oh,
and Buck
dude.
always step
Latu
up.
had a Yeah. Latu had himself a game.
Dude, he has a 14%
Freaking
like
game,
pass
dude.
win rate, or like a pressure rate or something, or pass win rate in like this entire season through 11 games. It's the highest in the Colts, even higher than Quiddy Pay.
Wow.
Yeah, so the direction for Latu, the growth is there. I'm so excited for year 2, 3, 4 moving forward. But this guy can be an elite level pass rusher. I know the sacks aren't showing right now. Keep your head
Yeah.
up, young king. They're going to come. They're going to come quick too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he not a bad one to get your second sack of the year on, right? Aaron Rodgers,
Third on air,
NFL legend. That's gotta
literally.
be pretty. It's gotta be pretty cool to get your second sack on a freaking NFL legend. That's There you
Yeah,
go. Shout
and
out
I
Latu.
know this is
But
not
no,
like
that was actually what I was gonna talk about next. Is like the I was sorry. I was gonna say, like, the defensive ends in the D line. They did stepped up. They stepped up huge against the Jets, and 100% they were the main reason why the defense was dominating so much in that first half. Because, yeah, I mean, Rodgers was stepping back, and he'd have like 2-3 seconds to get the ball out, and there was miscommunication for a lot of his receivers because he wasn't getting set. He was, trying to roll out of the pocket a little bit. He just doesn't have those wheels anymore, like we talked about. So, yeah, definitely they go hand in hand. When the D line is cooking, obviously it's going to benefit the secondary. It's tough in the NFL for a secondary to shut down completely, right? Like these really high end wide receivers. And so, yeah, 100% you need that pressure, and they definitely got it against the
they
Jets.
scared the shit out of me though. Like in the second half, when I was just like, "What is this complete 180?" Where it's just like they couldn't get a single goddamn stop. Granted, Brees Hall is a fucking dog, but they scared the shit out of me. But they got stops when it mattered. They got stops when it mattered, and that was the difference in the game. And Anthony Richardson finishing.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that in the second half. Do you think that's at all do you think it's potentially at all a Gus Bradley thing there, or like maybe like a defensive scheme? It's like, hey, we're up by, X amount. So they start maybe playing a different defensive scheme. Is that
No, I
something
just
that
no, I
came into
just
your
think.
head, or was it just more the Jets executing better in the
I
second
mean,
half?
Aaron Rodgers said that we played a lot of too high, so they weren't getting a lot of deep looks or anything like that. But I think it didn't help that
Okay.
the offense, they really didn't get it. They didn't get it going in the third quarter as much as they needed to. They had like a field goal, I think, or something like that, and one decent drive. But outside of
Yeah.
that, it was the fumble in the beginning of the first drive, and then after that, they really couldn't get going. They were 3rd and 16, 3rd and 17 from their own 5. So the defense was on the field a lot longer. I think that was part of it too. But they got stops when they needed to. And one thing I wanted to mention too, Logan, is did this game not feel a little bit like the Los Angeles Rams game that Anthony Richardson played in last year? Almost got us the dub, but this time he actually got the ball back in the 2-minute drive versus last time. I think last year they lost in overtime. Anthony Richardson didn't even get the ball in overtime because Puka scored a touchdown, like a 30-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
But
I was
I
at
felt
that
like,
game.
yeah, but it really.
Sad
Wait,
days.
you were at that game? I was at that game.
Yeah, I was at that game.
No shit.
Oh,
I
that's
was at that
cool.
game
Yeah,
too. Yeah, we didn't know
yeah.
each other, by the way. And
Little
then,
did we know. Yeah.
little did you know, we'd be starting a pod a whole year later. But it literally started.
It did seem like that though. I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. Except Anthony Richardson got the ball, led two. I mean, talk about that, man. Coming out of being benched for 2 straight games, leading two 70-yard drives to win the game. His quote was like in his last touchdown. His quote was literally like, I don't care. Like, I'm getting in. Nothing is gonna stop me. I'm getting in. Like, insane when you have a power runner at QB
Well,
like that.
bro, he took two men's souls yesterday on the goal, like absolutely removed their souls from their body. It was Jalen Mills and DJ Reed. Just especially Jalen Mills. I thought that dude
How is he
had a
still in the game?
concussion immediate. I was like, he needs to go into the blue tent now, not later.
Yep.
Now. And then DJ Reed, it looked like he just bounced off. Like he literally tried to lock in and just bounced off like Richardson was a freaking brick wall, dude. It was crazy. So I agree with you. It did look like he had a different level of determination and just an absolute drive. And he was like, I'm not going to be denied. And he coupled that with accuracy. And one point that I wanted to make about AR that I was the most impressed with actually in the Jets game was his footwork. So I watched a lot of videos actually from all 22 angles, from really good football minds like Theo Ash and Anthony from Esquire Sports. And they were talking about his footwork. And as I started to watch those videos and that film, I was like, wow, his footwork does look drastically different from even like 2 or 3 games ago. So maybe these are some of the things that Steichen was talking about of why he got benched, of like, hey, we needed to see this XYZ in practice. We needed him to show up a little bit earlier to study film. We needed him to put in a little bit of extra time after practice to maybe go over some of his footwork and some of these steps and some of the timing and some of the reads and stuff like that. And it actually legitimately looked like, Ati, that he did put in work over the last 2 weeks. So that's what's cool. It wasn't all for naught. It's like he actually put in work on this shit for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you could see it on the field. And he like stepped into his throws. He was moving around in the pocket better. The balls that when he threw, like, they were actually on target. They weren't all the time going over people's heads. Obviously, he still had that, absolute bullet pass, right? He just has that cannon of an arm, so he's going to keep doing that. But yeah, it looked different. His feet looked genuinely different when he was moving around the pocket.
100% agree. That was spot on. Also, Michael Pittman should have caught that ball to end the first half. Could have put him in field goal range.
Yeah,
that was a dart, but it had to be a dart.
Got it.
Had to be a dart.
Mm-hmm.
Thread the needle.
No, you get paid. You get paid the big bucks to catch those for sure. It's got to catch that.
Logan, do you know Pat McAfee, he does that hashtag I don't want to overreact, but on Twitter, and then he posts them on whatever. I tweeted today, I was like, hashtag I don't want to overreact, but the only way that we're allowing Pat and Darius Butler back on the Anthony Richardson train is if they stand at the goal line and AR gets to hit stick them both. And then they're allowed back on the AR as our franchise QB. Because the amount of shit that they talk just to come back on this side, come on.
Hear me out though. I not call out, but I messaged. I basically replied to Cody Felger's, one of Cody Felger's tweets. I think he's on the Bring the Juice podcast. And the only reason I don't like that take is because I'll say this: part of being a fan is to be sort of overreacting at times and to be upset and to be frustrated with what you've seen in front of you. So like, understandable, right? Like, obviously we never gave up on AR and, a lot of us got frustrated. I think a lot of people were upset with the way the Colts were playing and things of that nature. So I get it. I get why people get upset sometimes. So I don't ever want to bash, I guess, someone for just stating their opinion on something, because I think they genuinely saw something that they'd never seen before and they were just trying to, talk about it from their eyes. But that's my thoughts on it. I'm just like, people are going to overreact in the moment. It's part of being a fan. And I think Pat McAfee, more than anyone in sports media, is a fan first. I will say that.
Oh,
And so that's
totally.
what makes him unique. He's a fan of the Colts. He invests a lot of time and a lot of money right into the to the suite that he buys for the Colts and to all the publicity and stuff like that. So I get it. I think he had a moment of frustration and a moment of anger on like how much time, effort, and energy he invested into this team and how poor they were playing. Um,
Yeah.
but it does seem like he's apologized and he's kind of backtracking a little bit. So I don't want to harp on him too hard just because he was a fan. He was a
Yeah.
fan and he was pissed. And I think a lot of us have been there before. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
it's like Pat and Darius, we love you. Like obviously we love you guys. Like you guys are Colts legends. My only thing it's so sad.
right.
It's like Colts never get like any national recognition at all because we're the small like Midwest team in the middle of bumfuck,
Sure.
USA basically, where it's just like we don't get any of that attention. And then to bring all of the attention because you're that like media star, that TV star, that TV personality that Pat McAfee is, and it all be like negative, like that sucks. Like especially when you're a former
It's
player, like
fair.
you're
Yeah.
supposed to be hyping up your former your quarterback basically that's 22 years old that's essentially a rookie. So that part sucked,
Yeah.
but I was mostly joking about that. Like I am more
No,
than
no,
happy
no.
to welcome them back in. Like please come back into the
It
Colts
just
fandom to
reminded
the
me. Yeah. It just reminded me of like when I responded to Cody, because I'm like, hey, look, at the end of the day, it's still good that they're Colts fans and they're giving the Colts any sort of media attention. You know what I mean? They might be the only show that gives the Colts any attention, right? So if they want to
literally.
flip flop and they want to come back on the train, let their ass back on the train. Let's go, baby.
Please.
Full speed ahead. Anthony Richardson train, all aboard. Let's go to the playoffs.
Yeah. And Cody and Derek, we love you. Congrats, bring the juice. I mean, you guys are doing a just
Yes,
amazing thing over there. So
definitely
like
love you. And that's the
big
only reason I
mentors.
saw it is because I fought. The only reason I follow him is because, or only reason I saw it is because I follow him. So yeah, I definitely support them and
Yeah.
always follow what they
Yeah.
do. So
One thing I want to say, Logan, before we hop off too, is just kind of the sneaky MVP of the game versus the Jets yesterday. Can we get a round of applause, Logan, for Matt Gay? Matt Gay,
oh
phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. You got me sweating. All your balls
hey
go left. Phenomenal job. Phenomenal.
hey, he's not the quarterback, but hey, it definitely applies. I mean, speaking of that, we gave him a little shit a couple episodes ago. He was
Oh
he
yeah.
wasn't performing he wasn't
Oh
performing
yeah.
very well. So hey, there you go. Matt Gay came back and proved it was sort of a revenge game of sorts for him as well. And I think he kind of reminded Colts Nation of why Ballard originally brought him in and originally paid him what he did,
It's
because
the highest
we
paid
hadn't
contract for a kicker ever, I think.
exactly, and we hadn't really seen him live up to that contract since, I would say, I'll go out on a limb and I'll say, since last year
Baltimore?
against the Ravens. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. 100%. You and I are on the same brave brainwave there. So I haven't seen him live up to his contract since last year against the Ravens. So it was nice to cash in a little bit on that investment at a time where the Colts needed a win the most. So yeah,
100% agree.
shout out
Shout
MVP,
out. Big
shout out Matt Gay.
56-yard field goal, man. That was huge. That was like I was scared shitless. I was like,
Mhm.
oh no, we just lost all these yards and we got to kick this field goal and fuck, man. But he nailed it, man. He nailed
Yeah,
it. I don't know if he's just good like outdoors against the Ravens and against the Jets, but like
yeah.
fuck it, we'll take it.
Something tells me he was a lot more injured than what the Colts led
Yes, that's
on
true.
to be originally, because bro, he was missing like 44 yarders, like 44 or 45 yarders routinely, and he's just out there drilling 56 yarders now. I'm like, come on, something something was a little off about him
Something
a
was
few
off.
games ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guaranteed. Anything else you want to add before we call it for the night?
No, I think, like I said, just happy Victory Monday to anyone listening. If you're listening on Tuesday, just keep that energy going. Just
Happy
let's
Victory
make it Victory
Tuesday.
Tuesday, Victory Wednesday, Victory Thursday. We'll just push it all the way through. But yeah, no, shout out the Colts for, again, an absolute must win in my eyes. That was, like you mentioned, that was an absolute must win. Needed to turn the momentum around, and I'm excited for, even like we mentioned, even if the Colts lose the rest of their games this season, I'm just excited to see the progression, the growth of Anthony Richardson, and we finally have something to look forward to for next year. And hopefully, if all goes well, all continues in the right direction, no surprises, Anthony Richardson will be our guy moving forward. So
For the next decade
that's
plus.
what I would say.
My Pookie Prince King Anthony
Please,
Richardson. I love you. I love you
please.
so much. But anyways, that's probably a wrap for your Colts Unplugged Pod episode 6. Make sure, guys, to follow us on all socials. We've been posting pretty frequently now on Twitter, as well as YouTube. All the podcasts and
Yep.
clips go on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So feel free to shoot us a follow there on all platforms, and we'll catch you all on Thursday for the preview against the 9-1 Detroit Lions.